Hello everyone and welcome to Volt Vehicles. In this video I wanted to show you guys a wife optimized electric bike conversion. It's a bike I made for my wife, an electric bike, a pretty affordable and also very useful and practical electric bike. I wanted to show you guys what kind of considerations you can have when you're making an electric bike for your significant other or wife. Now don't get offended, I'm not meaning that all wives are like this, but in my case my wife wants something very reliable, something that does not require any kind of or minimal maintenance, and also something that is just going to just get her to the point A to B, being able to hold lots of cargo and not too much of a focus on speed, just a long range and a very reliable bike. And I wanted to show you guys what I've done to make a very affordable electric bike that can actually do all these functions. So this bike then, total cost is about $1,300 US dollars then, and the range on this is about 60 kilometers, 60-70 kilometers. It depends a lot on the weather conditions. 250 watt mid-drive motor bafang. So let's go over to why this is wife optimized here. So first of all, the wife does not want to get into any legal troubles, so we're going with the 250 watt bafang BBS01 motor. So it's legal in Europe. So this is a good motor for legality's sake. It is also a really reliable motor as well. This motor has a really good waterproofing rating. It is able to just ride through rain, storms. We've been running this thousands of kilometers, all types of weather, snow, rain conditions. It has worked perfectly fine. No issues at all with the motor, not opened it up or anything. It works really well in all kinds of weather conditions. So this is good for the wife because this has got power rating that's legal, is waterproof, and my wife, she doesn't really want to have a super powered motor anyway, so this 250 watts gets her around perfectly fine. Then when it comes to the actual bike itself, we've got an Ortler Detroit. Now this is just a random lady bike that I found online, which actually was a very good price. Now that was the main reason I got it. The price is good. My wife is not interested in breaking the bank on electric bike stuff. She likes to be responsible and take care of the bank account, unlike me, who has pretty decked out sporty stuff here. We've got an affordable bike here, but she also wants to have something very robust. So what we've got here is we've got a lady bike. So it's optimized when she's using a skirt. She can then use this bike here because, you know, it's got this nice area here, so the skirt won't be flapping all over the place. And then it's also a steel frame here, so it's a very strong one, robust one. I mean, an aluminium frame works fine as well, but this is a very robust one, so we do not have to have any stress of this breaking. Then it is also a bike which has got the Nexus 3. The Nexus 3 here, you can see it's an internal gear hub, a Nexus 3, and the great thing about this gear hub is that it is really reliable as well. Remember what I said before? We're looking for reliability, low service, and that she can get to her destinations as safe as possible. The Nexus 3 is a really good gear hub or drivetrain for that matter. The reason is because you're going to have a guarantee of the straight chain line. Your chain is going to be going straight, unlike a derailleur setup, which is maybe difficult to see in the dark. But when you've got a derailleur, your chain is going to be flopping all over the place. Risk of problems happening there can drop. It can be less efficient. It can perhaps get a little bit bent. But here you're going to have the chain straight all the time, which is a really good situation here. We want to always have the straight chain line going on. Then we're able to use a thick chain as well, because it's just a single chain, or single sprocket you could say, just one straight chain that goes to the motor and back. We can use an extra thick chain. So this chain has gone thousands and thousands of kilometers, I think 5,000 plus kilometers, not snapped. My thinner derailleur based chain has actually broken. So this is also a reliable one for that matter. The less risk of stuff going wrong here. The Nexus 3 also has got 3 gears and is able to be swapped when you're in stationary position. So you see we're stationary now. We've got gear 1, 2, 3. We do not need to do any kind of pedaling going on here. This makes this a lot more stress-free kind of drivetrain. If you stopped and you're like, oh, I forgot to change gears, well, you're in 3, and you can, oh, okay, I can go back to 1. So it's very simple. My wife does not like to have a complicated journey here. So this is a very, very simple solution as well. Not only is this reliable for weather doesn't affect the stall, everything, like all the gear components in this hub and encapsulated in here. Simple chain, but it is also very easy to use as well. You switch it whenever you want. And 3 gears allows this to also be a very simple experience. You don't really have to think too much about the gear system here. You know that, okay, I start off in the 1, I get up to a little bit speed 2, and in max speed I use 3. That's it, you just leave it like that. And then you slow down, you just go directly to 1. Simple, very, very simple. That's a really good reason to use the Nexus 3. Now, this bike, it came with the Nexus 3 Coaster Brake Edition. As you can see here, if you look, there is a little rod here. See this rod? This makes it so that you can actually brake by backpedaling usually. But when it comes to the Bafang BBS01, this thing is able to pedal back. It's got like a freewheel in here, so you can pedal back and it doesn't affect the chain. What does this do? This makes it so that you can't engage that coaster brake, because the coaster brake works by backpedaling the chain and it engages that latch and it makes so that it brakes the bike. So that is actually completely taken out of the equation. So because we're not able to engage this coaster brake, it doesn't matter, it doesn't really affect us in any way. It's just sitting there, dead weight. But what I had to think about when choosing this frame is to make sure we have a back brake at least, because these kind of electric bikes are very dangerous to run with one brake. I mean, I do not want, when it comes to my wife, I want absolute safety, and it is very risky to have one brake. If this fails, you could die. So having 2 is always a good option. Whatever kind of brake system you've got, it's always good to have 2 brakes. Now, room of improvement could be that we could have had disc brakes. Disc brakes could have been an option, but in this case, it's very hard to find a lady bike with disc brakes. And the main thing is that this has 2 brakes, 2 rim brakes, and my wife doesn't pedal really fast either, so these actually work just fine. And the great thing about the rim brakes is that you can use the default bafang brake levers that can then engage and turn off the rim brakes. But that's the main thing. We've got a front brake and back brake so that we can have absolute safety here. One modification I've done is that I've added wider pads. You can't really see it here, but I've bought pads that are a little bit wider, and this makes so that you have more braking surface. This will make your brakes a little bit more effective. Okay, so we've got a seat here, modification, a bit wider. She likes to have the wider, comfortable seat. And then when it comes to this bike frame as well, when it comes to electric bike conversions, it's good to have a good battery mounting position. Something I could have done is put a rear rack battery, but these kind of batteries are nice. This poly is a format called poly, like poly 6, poly 9, poly 7, there's different ones. They all have the same socket, and all the bikes we've got, they have the same poly, so I can just swap the mix and match. So it's really useful to be able to have the same socket going on. So I could have put it here, but I wanted to have the same poly format on all the bikes, but I also wanted to keep this rack because this is a very nice robust rear rack we've got, so I didn't want to waste it. So what we've done here is I've got this green bottle bob. Now what that is a bit of like basically an aluminium sheet with these very robust hose clamps that are holding in place this thing. So this thing is like very solid. It is on this properly, and I added this just for some extra rigidity here, but not really necessary, but I just like to have just a little bit extra stability here. Now this green bottle bob is very expensive. It costs like 40 bucks, but you can actually get it from AliExpress, just like some aluminium sheet for battery mount for a lot cheaper price. I found out about that afterwards, so in hindsight, if I were to build this again, I would have bought the AliExpress variant, because that is also very well built. I've also used it as well. Then essentials is mudguards. Want her to have clean clothes, so that is also very useful. And then also this I installed, this did not come with the bike. This is a skirt guard, so if the skirt goes in here, there's less risk of it coming into the spokes. So that is also a very little convenient addition we've got here. I also added this chain guard, so less risk of the clothes coming into the chain and getting them dirty. How I did it, there's different ways of mounting this. I'll make a separate video on how you can mount the chain guards to these electric bikes, but in this case I did a custom solution. So I've got one of these chain guides here. This is made to actually hold a chain in place and guide it. I repurposed it. So basically what I did was I just screwed a screw into this, and then it's just holding a sort of a flap, which is then screwing into this. And then I've got, it's maybe a little bit hard to see, but we've got a zip tie here connecting some of the cables from the motor to the, there's a hole in the lower part of this chain guard. So it's holding that. And then this has got this mounting clip that came with this chain guard that I mounted to here. I initially had it here, but then this clip was pressing on these cables and was causing problems with the gear shifting. So that's why I've got a bit of custom solution here. I'll make a separate video on how you can get these chain guards. They're very useful. One nice addition that this bike came with was that it had this nice dynamo lights. So these are good for extra safety. You can see it's a little bit broken even, but they're good just to have some. This still works. It's good to have just an extra set of lights. Say your battery somehow runs out on the custom lights I've got, then at least you have some kind of safety when it comes to lights. So that is something I did here. My wife also likes to have these baskets. Me personally, I think they come in the way all the time and are very bulky and not so smooth to handle with, but she likes them, so that's why I installed them. And I got a special offer here. This one cost like $5 and this one cost $2. So yeah, very handy. Just mounted it here on the handlebar. You can see these two things here, and then this one is clamping to the rear rack. That is a very useful thing. Also got some custom grips here that we got from AliExpress. Cheap and good, cost like $8 each. But this battery then, what have we got here? A battery that enables us to go very far. As you can see here, 24.5 amp hour, 48 volt battery. Proper battery. Get yourself very far. She likes to be able to go very far without having to worry about losing charge. So that's why I went with the bigger battery option here. It's heavier, but it is a really thick battery. Nice battery, I like it a lot. Works really well. So that's a wife optimized electric bike conversion here by me. I thought it's really nice. It served thousands of kilometers, 5,000, 6,000 plus kilometers. The logging is a little bit incorrect in there, but it is really robust. And using the bafang motor, really reliable, plus the Nexus 3, also really reliable, plus a steel frame, big battery that works really well. This all creates a very nice, reliable package of a mode of transportation. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something new. Nice, affordable, reliable electric bike for the wife. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.